Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to design and build a suspension bridge of any shape and size like this one here by taking advantage of Minecraft's coordinate system and applying a bit of beginner calculus. If you're unfamiliar with calculus, this is actually a great video for you to get an idea of what you can do with it, even if you just watch and follow along like you would with any other Minecraft tutorial. As we will be eventually heading into 1.18 with the new amazing terrain generation it offers, as well as showing how you can adapt this design to a huge variety of terrain, across this valley is where I'll be building the bridge. I've already set up a roadway and two towers that I'll be building across, as these are location markers in which I'll explain their importance later in the video. To organize this video, I'm going to break it down into multiple sections as shown here. Number 1. The key pieces of information that you'll need to collect in order to make your own bridge. Number 2. Using those key points that we've marked out to determine the exact shape of our bridge. And number 3. Transposing the shape into Minecraft coordinates that we can read off to know exactly where we can place our blocks. Now that we're back at the unfinished bridge, the first thing you probably want to know is the distance of the gap that you want your bridge to, bridge across. In bridge terminology, we call this the span of a bridge, in which this case is the amount of blocks between two supports. By the way, since we're going to be collecting a fair bit of information in this section of the video, if you're following along in making a bridge of your own, I suggest grabbing a piece of scrap paper or a back of an envelope for working out space. Firstly, draw the span of the bridge with the X or Z coordinates depending on which way your bridge is facing on the end of it. If you can, mark down the midpoint coordinate. Mark down the X and Y coordinates of the midpoint if you're building the bridge across the X-axis. If you're building the bridge across the Z-axis, replace the X coordinates with the Z. You probably don't want to build your bridge sideways. In my case, this is the positive X direction, so I'll align myself with the positive X direction that is heading right. Since this video is about building suspension bridges, we're going to stick to the shape of such bridges, which is a type of curve with special properties we're going to take advantage of later, called a parabola. You can either have a steep parabola or a shallow parabola. Either way, you are free to choose, because it will all be defined in the equation of a parabola as shown right here. What is this special property? Well, it turns out that as long as you move across the shape of the parabola, the gradient of the parabola at any point actually changes at a steady rate. That means we can model out the steepness of the slope on the graph of its own, with the value of the gradient in the place of the y-axis, plus we know it'll be a straight line. All this means that all you really need to know is the gradient or the steepness at the end of the bridge, and you can construct the gradient graph. For the bridge I'm designing now, I want the gradient at the ends to be -1 and 1 respectively, so that's what I put down in the place of the y coordinate. As you may have already known in high school, a straight line can be represented by an equation on a coordinate system, which just so happens to exist in Minecraft. The equation of the gradient graph is then later something we can use to turn into the parabola that will actually tell you where to place the blocks for your bridge. With your gradient point set, you can now start constructing an equation for it. First, draw a line between your two gradient points and find the m part in the formula as shown by plugging in the numbers. You'll need the point gradient formula to figure out your equation as shown, so we can move on to part 2 of 3. In this part, we're going to take this equation here and turn it into the corresponding equation that would give the curve that would form the actual shape of the bridge, so we can use it to figure out exactly where to place the blocks in the third part of the video. Here's a fun part. Divide the x term by 2 and slap the corresponding 2 onto the corner to turn it into an x squared. For the second number, just slap an x to the end of it, add a plus c to the end, and you're almost there. Right now, the equation we have, the parabola will simply float in place without any kind of vertical constraint. So, in order to fix this, we need some more information. Remember how I told you to grab an existing full coordinates from the bridge itself? We're now going to use it to substitute the x value for your x or z Minecraft coordinate and your y with your y coordinate. Solve for c, and there you have it. That right there is called finding the primitive or antiderivative in calculus. Let's move on to part 3 where you can find out where to actually place your blocks. In this part of the video, we're going to plug that equation into Microsoft Excel, which I'm going to run you through step by step. First, Open up Excel and put in column A your lowest horizontal coordinate, whether that be X or Z. Type in your first coordinate and scroll to the next. Press the equal sign and click or type the number above to select it, then put in a +1 and click enter. Grab the bottom right corner and pull down to fill the entire column with numbers until you've reached the coordinate on the other end of the bridge. Next, go to the column over to the right and type in equal. We're going to insert the equation in as shown, but we will replace the x with the number in the cell directly to the right in the x column with the x coordinates. Since we can't actually type powers into the Excel formula, I highly suggest putting a bracket for each term, highlighted here, so the calculator can't get confused. For the same reason, put in a bracket for each fraction. Just as a refresher, multiply is asterisk, divide or fraction is /, and powers are carets. By the way, if you're still confused, I've put in a template for the equation. Fill it out using the guide here on the screen, and you should be fine. Next, use your mouse to drag the data, or quote-unquote extrapolate the data like we did before to get the rest of the numbers. If you want to make it easier, put in a third column and type in this following formula, and copy the formula down the column. This makes it easy to tell where exactly you need to paste the blocks. Because if the number ends in a 0.5, then you know that it's the top half of a slab. If the number doesn't end in a 0.5, then you know it's the bottom half of a slab. And there you go. Follow the spreadsheet, and you should be able to build a suspension bridge to your heart's desire, and hopefully you've learned something about calculus and Microsoft Excel. I will now finish this video off with a building montage and a final fly around, and I will see you in the next video.